Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning everyone. We are from group 7. Today we're going to discuss about major genres, fiction, poetry, drama and film, analysis and review. And before we start, let me introduce our group. My name is Annisa Ariesta, and next is Dinda Ayu Hikmah and the last one is Zuhru of Afia. Okay, so next is my friends will present about the first topic.
Okay everyone, my name is Dinda Ayu Hikmah. Here I would like to explain about the example of fiction analysis. And the fiction we are going to analyze is Cinderella fiction. There are four elements: characterization, setting, plot, and moral values. The first one is characterization in Cinderella. So the main characters in the story, there are four main characters. They are Cinderella, her stepmother, and two her stepsisters. The roles of protagonist is played by the first one, with Cinderella as the main character in this fiction, in which her stepmother and her stepsisters take the antagonist role. Cinderella is a royal princess who lives with her mother and her stepsisters because her parents had died. Crimes committed by her stepmother and her stepsisters keep her from doing much of what they want. Due to her love for her father, Cinderella must follow all orders from her stepmother and her stepsisters. In the story, Cinderella is depicted as a patient person who wants to do anything for her mother and her stepsisters. Cinderella shows us that a princess must have a good attitude in order to be loved by her people. And the writer also wants to say in the kind of story when someone is mean to us, then we shouldn't do revenge with evil too. Besides, we must be patient to accept that the bad treatment of them and continue to provide kindness without any reward we wish for. Second, setting in Cinderella. The setting of place in this fiction is in Cinderella's house and in the kingdom. It can be seen in the script text below. First, Cinderella did the homeworks and wept bitterly for all her suffering all this time after her father remarried. In Ursalama, year 2019, page 3. And then, after some minutes, Cinderella arrived at the kingdom. Many eyes stare in presence of Cinderella. In Ursalama, year 2019, page 5. Plot in Cinderella. The plot in Cinderella uses linear plot, or sometimes is also called as dramatic or progressive plot, which presents action or occurrences chronologically. Take a look in the script text below. There's a beautiful orphan girl who lives with her father that's so rich. They live happily even though there is one family member who is lacking it. She is Cinderella's mother who had died. In Ursalama, year 2019, page 1. And it's really heartbreaking. Not long after marriage, Cinderella's father died because of his illness. Cinderella's life became more miserable after her father died. The more feel her stepmother and stepsisters to act arbitrarily against Cinderella. In Ursalama, year 2019, page 2. The last is, finally, Cinderella can leave the house full of misery. He went to the kingdom with the prince and carried out the wedding there. In Ursalama, year 2019, page 12. The last one is moral values in Cinderella. In the Cinderella fiction, there are also moral values that shape each character. The moral values are obtained in the form of affection, responsibility, and help. It's reflected in the text below. Because he couldn't bear to see Cinderella alone at home, he decided to remarry a widow who has two daughters. In Ursalama, year 2019, page 1. We can see from the text above how much Cinderella's father loves her, in which he didn't want her daughter to feel lonely, so that he remarried a widow to take care of her. Asri, Hati, and Ade say that love is an action or activity that humans do to other objects, in the form of self-sacrifice, empathy, attention, helping, obeying words, following, and willing to do whatever the object one wants.
The next is the example of poetry analysis.
The poetry. My mysterious eyes are nothing like the sun. My mysterious eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her braids are done. If hair be white, black wise grow on her head. I have seen roses they mix red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes is there more delight than in the breath that from my mysteries reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music had a far more pleasing sound. I grinned, I never saw a goddess go. My mystery when she walks straight on the ground, and yet, by heaven, I think my lover as rare as any she believed with false compare. Analysis of figure of speech in the translation of the poetry. My mysterious eyes are nothing like the sun. First, litotes. Litotes is a style of language used to express something that aims to soften something that is actually not so bad. The figure of speech aims to demean something that is contrary to its true meaning. This language style is found in all the first lines of students' translation. My mysterious eyes are nothing like the sun, which means my lover's eyes are not as warm as the sun. Then the second line, which read, coral is far more red than her lips, which means her lips are not as red as a coral. The second, hyperbole. Hyperbole is a style of comparison that exaggerates even far from reality. This figurative language is found in the translation of the poem in the fifth and sixth line. I have seen roses they mix red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks, which means that the lover's blush is more beautiful than a rose. On the seventh and eighth lines, and in some perfume is there more delight than in the breath that from my mysteries reeks. This means that the fragrance of the lover's breath is far more fragrance than perfume. The third, irony. In irony, the speaker conveys something that is the opposite of what he wants to say. This style is found at the end of the line. As any she believed with false compare. It is said that the author eventually disclosed that despite his bad mouthing of his beloved, he understood that his partner couldn't be compared to anything in this world. The next is the example of drama analysis. Characterization in The Merchant of Venice. The main character in the story. The four main characters of The Merchant of Venice are Antonio, Bassanio, Portia, and Shylock. The roles of protagonists are played by the first three, with Portia playing the heroine's role. Charlotte takes the antagonist role. The message in the characterization of the Merchant of Venice. The Merchant of the Venice presents the readers and the audience with some facts from his worldly life. In particular, that there are always two kinds of people, good people and bad people. Those in the Merchant of Venice, these characteristics are personified by each of the actors. Portia has three important roles in the play: as a noble lady, as a kind-hearted wife, and as an intelligent lawyer. And these roles where she shows that she can solve a great deal of difficulty for herself and for others indicate she is the heroine. Portia is the true heroine of the play. This characterization by Shakespeare in his play The Merchant of Venice are truly very brilliant. It shows that he really knew how characterization of actor in the play should be done, so that they are like real people in the way that he interact with and behave towards each other.
So next is the example of film analysis. Next is the critical analysis of the moral values of Carl Frederickson and Russell's characters in the animated film Up. So, moral value is a value or a good attitude that a person does to the surrounding environment. Moral values are also used as a guide and shape the character of a person and citizens. There are several moral values that arise in the animated film Up. The following are the moral values contained in the animated film Up. First is diligent savings. At minute 9, prove the scene where Cars and Ellie save for Ellie's wish to return to Paradise Falls, United States, to make their dreams come true. Car and Ellie are diligent in savings. Despite the many obstacles they face, the money they collect is getting more and more used up for daily necessities and the treatment of their sick wife. And second, friends, regardless of age, young Boy Scout Russell accompanies Car's grandfather's adventures to get to Paradise Falls. Age disparity is not an obstacle to making friends. Even if you make friends with different ages, you will gain more experiences and stories that will broaden your point of view. And third, pets can be good friends. The dog that Russell found, named Duck, witnessed their journey. Duck helped Carl and Russell of the Moon's dogs. Pets can also be friends. They can accompany us when we are sad. And fourth, never give up and determined to be energetic. The sign at minute 10 marks the scene where Cars was cleaning the house and noticed a tiny photo of Ellie. Cars remembered his wife wished to visit Paradise Falls. Then he decided to buy a plane ticket using the money he had saved while working as a balloonist. This shows that Carl has an unyielding attitude and is determined to make his wife's dream come true. Fifth, creative. At minute 21 and 15, shows a scene where Carl flies his house using thousands of helium balloons and also forms a radar to control his house. And at 1 7 and 35 minutes, foreshadow the scene where Russell saved Kevin by tying several balloons to his back, using his vacuum cleaner sense to steer him. This shows Carl and Russell's creative new outlook in dealing with the situation. And last, hard work. At 1 7 and 35 minutes, shows a scene where Russell uses courage and doesn't give up to save Kevin from kidnapping monsters. This demonstrates Russell's dedication to saving Kevin. And we are now at the end of presentation, so I will give the conclusion. Intrinsic elements in literary works are elements that can be studied scientifically because these elements have patterns, type, and are proven in the form of sentence quotes that contain analysis of the plot or storyline, setting of the story, point of view or perspective narrative, character and characterization, all of which are ways to convey the message between the author and the reader. As for the literary work itself, which can be in the form of fiction, Poetry, drama, and film, also called as a reflection of the period where the many writers are inspired by the phenomena that occur around them at that time. Therefore, the necessary of education to appreciate literary work is to introduce the history that had occurred when the works were published in a more entertaining form. Literary works are realized because of someone's imagination or thought that are put through the media or literary works so that it can be enjoyed by all circles of society. So that's all from our group. Thank you for attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.